gonna try not to cry.
Feels like I know you girl all my life when I'm with you. Nothing else matters.
What's up, squad? Welcome back to the channel, guys. Happy New Year. It's your girl Stephanie, and welcome to StephSquared TV. Now, I have been thinking of ways of how to, I guess, record this video, like how to talk about these kinds of things. I was thinking really hard, like, how am I going to like talk, or should I have talking points? Should I specifically, like, you know, address things or anything like that? But I think I'm just gonna speak from the heart and speak from how I feel and just kind of go with the vibe, I guess. I don't know, just kind of talk and just let things, you know, flow as they will, I guess. I get a lot of questions all the time as to, you know, like my anxiety story, or like just talking about me and how I, you know, and why I talk so much about anxiety. I get questions about this here on YouTube and on TikTok. I figured it would be the best time to explain and kind of go over like my anxiety story. So to give you guys a little bit of a backstory on me, I had a really crazy childhood. My dad had cancer when he was diagnosed with cancer when I was in the first grade. So I dealt with that my whole childhood. So for me, I feel like anxiety and just panic attacks and stuff like that was something that was very common. I was a very stressed kid growing up, just because I was the child of a Hispanic mom, and when she came to the United States, she didn't speak English. So when my dad was diagnosed with cancer, he was the only other parent that I had that actually spoke English fluently. So once he got sick, a lot of the stuff kind of fell on me because I was the only other person in my family that spoke English. I feel like with time, that kind of built me into a person that was, I thought I dealt well with stress, but little did I know that stress was only going to build up more. So through the years, I did notice that I had anxiety. I had social anxiety just because I grew up with no siblings in the household. I do have siblings, but none of them, I didn't grow up with any of them within my household. And I didn't do a lot of things with kids. I did a lot of things with adults because my parents would take me to a lot of adult parties. So I didn't really hang out with kids, so I didn't know how to socialize with kids other than when I was in school. I was very awkward. Having anxiety, having social anxiety, all that stuff has always been my thing since I was a kid. So fast forward to my dad passing away. My birthday's on the 28th of October. He passed away on the 17th of October. So for me, it was a lot of like, oh crap, you know, like a lot of stuff that just kind of went south really fast, especially the last few years of his life. There were a lot of changes. There were a lot of things where, one, I didn't live close to home. Again, I was the only family member that spoke English, and, you know, I love my mom and I truly think that she tries so hard, but certain things escape her. A lot of things don't make sense still because she learned English at a very an older age. So I've always been the person, the person that people run to in my family that are like, okay, she knows everything, she'll understand, she'll be able to help. So it was a lot at one time. So when my dad passed away, I took on a lot of things during that time frame that I think really pushed me over the edge. I want to say 4 or 5 days after my dad passed away, my mom had to rush me to the hospital because I felt like I was having a heart attack. I felt like I couldn't breathe, very much so shortness of breath. I felt like a ton of bricks were on top of my chest. It was really, really scary. My mom took me to the hospital, and The hospital that she took me to was the same hospital that my dad passed away in. A lot of people saw my last name and kind of just put everything kind of together. This doctor, he comes in and he like pushes everyone away. He tells them to go get the certain medication that he suggests for them to bring. And he puts everything on my chest and he goes, "That's exactly what I thought." He's like, "Nothing's wrong with your heart." He's like, "You're having a panic attack." And I was like, "A panic attack?" You know, like, is that even, like, how is that even in the same realm? Like, I feel like everything is falling apart. My chest is just like, I felt like I was dying slowly. He was like, "Yeah, that's what a panic attack feels like." He's like, "That is very common to see after people who have had severe, you know, stress, life in general, something has impacted them so much that caused them to have a panic attack." I think in that moment, I was so stressed. I was like, okay, well, what do I do? How do I move? What, you know, where do I go from there? And by the time I could actually finish my conversation with him, my doctor came in and my doctor said the same thing. And he was like, "What we need to do," because my heart rate was just ridiculous. He was like, "We need to give you Valium." So Valium is kind of like a sedative. It's supposed to like calm you down and, you know, kind of like ease the stress. It did none of that for me. They gave me the Valium and instead of relaxing me, it actually made me like black out. But I passed out in a way where I could still hear everyone, but just the room went dark. And they're like, it's okay, just sleep it off. I couldn't. I was literally talking to them while I was still like, the room was black and I was still talking to them and telling them like, I don't want to pass out. I don't. So I got discharged a little bit after that. And my mom, being the supportive woman that she is, she was just like, you know, maybe you just need some rest, you need to relax. It was not easy from that point forward because a lot of people don't tell you, and I mean, this is different with each person. When you have a panic attack, you get anxiety right after because you don't want that same feeling again. And I think when you kind of have that, I personally felt like it was a life-changing experience, and not in a great way. Having the panic attack that I did, I feel like it made me on edge for a very long time. For about a year after my dad passed away, I couldn't do normal things because of anxiety. So I couldn't drive for long periods of time. Mind you, I used to drive from Orlando to Miami, no problem. I tried doing that and it was like, I felt like I was sinking in a hole of anxiety. It was really, really bad. So I couldn't drive at night. Working, I could not work. It was really, really hard for me to work by myself, or I would, you know, make sure that I was working on the days that like my best friends were working. It was a lot of stuff for me that I felt like I couldn't be independent anymore. I was a slave to anxiety, and doing anything by myself was just not physically possible. I remember I finally came from South Florida back to Orlando after my dad had passed away, and I tried to drive to CVS to get some Dramamine for my nausea. I think I made it all of 2 minutes to drive. The CVS was like up the street, like maybe a 5-minute drive, if that. And I made it right to the CVS. And when I tell you, I tried to get out of the car and I just could not. I felt like I was right back where I was having that panic attack. It's just really bad. Like, you don't have control over your body within those what feels like hours, and they could be 20 minutes, they could be 5 minutes, they could be 3 minutes. It's just a lot. The reason why I vocalize my anxiety and my story so much is because me being the person that I was, I didn't know what anxiety was. I didn't know what panic attacks were. I didn't know what social anxiety was. I didn't know what any of those things were until I actually had my first panic attack. And then I did so much research on anxiety and trying to better myself. I didn't know what the word mental health was. I didn't know that it was okay to talk about anxiety. I grew up in a Hispanic household where mental health was not talked about enough. And I feel like now, as the person that I am now, I feel like it is so big to talk about mental health and to talk about making sure that you are healthy, not only on the outside, but also on the inside. I love the fact that mental health is something that we do talk about. It is something that people are not afraid to talk about. I am beyond blessed to have a wife that supports me in my mental health. And I say those things separately because when you start a relationship with someone and vocalize your mental health and talk about how it may not be doing great that day, or it has been doing great for a little bit of time, it has been doing great for a year. I met Steph right after my dad passed away. I want to say about a year or two after. And I think that I met her at a time where my world was swiveling downwards, and I was very clear as to where my mental health was. And I'm very blessed at the fact that she did not go, oh, she's a mess, I'll find somebody else. We were very fresh. We were very new. We were still dating. We were still talking. We were not girlfriend and girlfriend. We weren't anything. And I let her know. I was like, this is where I'm at. And she took it on like a champ. She was like, okay, you are you, and I love you for who you are. And it worked out, I am very blessed for my partner to be the person that she is. I know that doesn't happen for everyone, but I want everyone to understand that mental health is something that you should be okay with verbalizing. It should be something that you are able to shout to the mountaintops if you want to, if you need to. Don't be afraid to talk about your mental health. Don't be afraid to talk about how you're not feeling well that day, or if you feel sad, if you feel mad, if you feel just not good, not great, not your best, not your 1000%. I've learned a lot. So I wasn't gonna cry, but here we are. I've learned a lot as far as making sure my mental health is good, and making sure that I learned from everything that has kind of influenced my mental health. And every day is not a great day. Every day is a work. It is a job. It is a something to kind of work on, because I have anxiety, I have social anxiety, I have vertigo, I have things that make it not easy for me to get up in the morning sometimes. A lot of people who say, like, oh, you'll be fine, just think positive thoughts. That doesn't always work. Positive thoughts are hard work too. It's kind of like if somebody is tapping you on the shoulder consistently, and that's your anxiety, and somebody going, just ignore that. But could you imagine somebody tapping on your shoulder for not 5 minutes, not 2 minutes, not even 3 seconds? It could be a whole day long. It could be a week long. It could be a year long. So imagine how often or how dreadful that would feel if somebody is tapping on your shoulder for a year long, and then somebody just coming by and going, just ignore that. It's harder than you think. It's really harder than you think. So on the positive end of things, I am year 9 with anxiety, 9 years with anxiety. And there's good and bad things. You know, you learn through the process. You learn a lot of, you know, triggers. You learn how to cope with your anxiety. One of the biggest things that I learned was that, you know, I'm still me. I just have anxiety. It's not the other way around where, you know, anxiety and there's me, you know, like it is something, a quirk about me, you know, it is something about me, but that's not my forefront. That's not something that I, you know, am letting that kind of like hang over my head. Don't get me wrong, there are days where I'm just like, I am a ball of anxiety, and that's who I am today. But, you know, sometimes I'm able to really work on it. I've learned that a good schedule, you know, doing the same thing, you know, helps. But I still challenge myself to go do things that are not in my normal too. To kind of break that, I would say, barrier of kind of keeping things normal. You know, like scheduling and planning always helps. I like knowing what's in front. It's that little bit of control that I need, but accepting if something comes in the mix. For example, I don't do scary events, like for example, like Halloween Horror Nights. They make me very nervous. But last year for Halloween, or during the month of October, my best friend was in town and she goes, let's go to Halloween Horror Nights. And my first response automatically was no. And she knows I'm a scaredy cat, so those things make me very, very anxious, because I'm out of control. It's out of my web of what I can control. After the second no, I was like, okay, let's do this, because I'm only going to get better, as far as like, I'm only going to allow my anxiety to stop me from having what I feel like is fun if I keep pushing things away and going, no, I don't want to do that because it's going to give me anxiety. That's never a response. That is not a response. Don't do something because it's going to give you anxiety, even though you know it's fun. You know, you've seen people go, you've seen people do it, and it's like, it's fun. I did it. I went to Halloween Horror Nights with my best friend and my wife, and I had the best time. I had so much fun. The houses and the scare areas and, you know, the scare zones and stuff like that, like, it was crazy. I had so much fun. I had an incredible amount of fun. And it was all because I let go just for a moment. It was enough time to let go and be happy about it. And for me, I let go enough that I was comfortable with. I knew that at any point, if I wanted to leave, if I didn't want to continue, I could tell my wife, and my wife would be like, okay, no problem, we'll leave. Because I knew that, because I had that kind of in my mind, I was like, it's terrible to kind of think like you have an escape route or an escape idea, but I did, and I allowed myself to have that. I gave myself the ability to think, okay, in the worst, if you don't feel well or if anxiety gets the best of you, it is okay to leave. But once I got in there, it was like it was gone. Once I got in there and just let myself have fun and be in the moment, that escape route left. I was so proud of myself. I was really, really proud of myself. And I know, you know, people are like, oh, you're proud of yourself for going to Halloween Horror Nights. What? I'm proud of myself for letting go of my anxiety and going, what the heck? I'm just gonna go and have fun and not worry so much about my anxiety and not worry about things that haven't happened yet. And so for those things, you know, that's what I'm saying when I say that I let things just come into play when they're not scheduled, or they're, you know, I can't control everything. And that's one big thing that I've learned with my anxiety is I can't control everything. So if it does happen, it happens, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. I can't control it. I can't control if something's gonna go right or go wrong. I can't do anything about it. What I can do is I can choose to be happy. I can choose to have fun. I can choose to do the things that I love to do and not worry about little things and not worry about things that could possibly, you know, happen. I've learned with myself as well that I need to give myself the room to also have my anxieties and my breakdowns and my moments. You know, I feel like that's really big. That's really big within my experience, my just getting through things. I'm really trying to put things into my routine that make me happy and that make me want to do things. It's little things like that that I love to share and I love to tell people about, because if I sit here and I go, you'll be fine, anxiety will eventually leave you and you will sing and dance and be happy and merry all the time, I'm lying to you. You know, I'm telling you that what you will find is joy and happiness and comfort with yourself if you allow yourself to be that and stop sometimes thinking, you know. And I know that's hard. It took me, I want to say about 3 years to kind of get over that first hurdle of anxiety. And the waves do come back. The waves of being anxious and being nervous and being, you know, way too self-aware. Those things will come back. Sometimes I'll have like a really hard day, or sometimes there'll be a month of just like in a funk. I feel like if I don't talk about anxiety, if I don't talk about my mental health, and if I don't make myself aware of it, I can't make my mental health better, you know? I try my hardest to, like I said, throw things that make me happy in my routine so that waking up isn't so hard sometimes. You know, I know that I'm blessed with many, many reasons to get up in the morning, and I choose one each day. I choose one. I choose, you know, looking at my wife's face. I choose to be happy, and I choose not to let my anxiety cripple me. I choose to work hard for my own self and for my own self-happiness, because I can't, you know, I can't do everything that I need to do within my relationship for my wife if I'm not okay. I can't do that for my relationship with my friends if I'm not okay. Like, if I'm not happy, I can't be happy for my wife. I can't be happy for my friends. I can't be happy for my family. I share my story because I want people to see that not every day is perfect, and not every person that has a smile on their face and looks happy and just living their best life is, because it's not true. It's not always true. I mean, there are beautiful people in the world that don't have, you know, don't have any issues with their mental health, and I love that for them. But then there are people like me who do suffer from anxiety and panic, and I think that's okay too. I think that is beautiful as well, you know, because I've learned, I've tried my hardest each day. I try to better myself as much as I can for myself, number one. I want to shed light on the fact that, you know, not everyone has everything together, but it's important not only that you open up about it, but also it's beautiful to work on it as well. Well, with everything being said, I definitely love you guys, and I love the squad. I love all you guys, and know that you guys are definitely going to have an amazing year. You know, check on your mental health. Make sure you are going to be good and ready to take on every amazing and thrilling adventure that's coming your way. I wish you guys nothing but amazingness this 2023. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I enjoyed talking to you guys about my anxiety and my trials and tribulations, but a happy end of things and how things can get better. Love you guys lots, and make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe, because you know we keep it lit, no quit. Love you guys. Bye.
Make you go lovey-dovey. Your body on me make you go lovey-dovey.